With a shady past and supernatural abilities, Mr. Negative has the potential to become Spider-Man's main villain in Brand New Day, bringing together comics, games, and the hero's future on the big screen. Mr. Negative has appeared in several stories and even branched out into other media. In this video, we'll explore 10 facts about this Spider-Man villain who, despite being recent, has already made a name for himself. In 2007, with the launch of the One More Day storyline for Spider-Man, Marvel decided to introduce new villains since the hero had been facing the same old enemies for years with no fresh ideas. During this time, several new characters were created, like Menace, Piper Dolly, and Monster, but none stood out as much as Mr. Negative. The villain, created by Dan Slott and Phil Jimenez, made his debut in The Amazing Spider-Man number 546, released in January 2008. This issue kicked off the Brand New Day storyline, which redefined Spider-Man's universe after the controversial One More Day events, where Peter Parker gives up his marriage to Mary Jane to save his Aunt May's life. The man who would later become Mr. Negative was originally part of the Snakeheads gang in China, which was involved in human trafficking. He got pulled into a life of crime by the gang's leader, known as Silver Fang. As a member of the Golden Mountain crew, he smuggled Chinese immigrants into the United States. During one trip, when the ship nearly sank near New York, he stole the identity of a deceased immigrant from Fujian, named Martin Lee, who was heading to America to reunite with his family. Under the name Martin Lee, he joined his Snakehead gang in Flushing, only to find that everyone was dead. Eventually, he was captured by Silvermane, a member of the criminal Maggia family, who handed him over to the criminal chemist Simon Marshall. Simon Marshall was creating a synthetic drug called D-Light for the Maggia crime family, testing it on runaway teens and illegal immigrants, with often deadly results, all in an effort to make money for the group. Surprisingly, 3 of the kidnapped victims, Tyrone Johnson, Tandy Bowen, and Martin Lee, survived the experiments and managed to escape. Thanks to the drug and their unique biological traits, all 3 gained superhuman abilities linked to the Dark Force and Light Force, turning Tyrone and Tandy into Cloak and Dagger, and Martin Lee into Mr. Negative. The substance also led to the creation of 2 distinct personalities in one body, the kind-hearted Martin Lee and the villainous Mr. Negative. The Mr. Negative side began pursuing the goal of becoming the kingpin of Chinatown, seeking to destroy the Maggia in revenge for what they had done to him. Mr. Negative's actions often put him in conflict with both heroes and villains. His thirst for revenge against the Maggia, a powerful criminal organization, is what sets off his clash with Peter Parker, aka Spider-Man. In one of his attempts to restructure the criminal underworld, Mr. Negative tries to use a lethal substance called Devil's Breath to wipe out 2 rival crime families, the Manfredi and the Carnelli. His plan to destroy these clans and establish his own crime empire in New York is interrupted by Spider-Man, who, as always, is forced to protect the innocent, even when his enemy's motives can be seen as a twisted form of justice. This first showdown marks the beginning of an ongoing rivalry between Spider-Man and Mr. Negative, who would become one of the hero's most consistent adversaries. If you're enjoying the video, don't forget to drop a like and hit subscribe so you don't miss any new Marvel stuff and more. And tap the bell to get notified whenever there's fresh content. Mr. Negative is one of the most unique villains in Spider-Man's rogues gallery, with abilities that mix negative energy, biotechnology, and mysticism. Some of his most notable powers include manipulating negative energy, which lets him fire destructive blasts, charge up objects, and cause huge explosions. His touch also has the power to corrupt people, temporarily changing their personalities, flipping their moral values, and putting them under his control. However, there's a weakness. If someone who's been controlled manages to break free, the corruption touch won't affect them anymore. When he switches to his negative form, Lee experiences a massive boost in strength, agility, and endurance, making him much stronger physically. He also has an impressive healing factor, able to quickly recover from wounds and survive deadly attacks. On top of that, his powers can invert light and shadow around him, warping the environment into a dark and disturbing reality. Martin Lee appeared, at first glance, to be a man dedicated to noble causes, with a public image as a philanthropist and community leader. He ran a volunteer cafeteria called Feast, which provided meals to those in need, and it was also a place where May Parker, Peter's aunt, volunteered. The project, with its mission to help the less fortunate, seemed like a genuine expression of kindness from Lee, who appeared sincerely involved in the community. Although the program was praised for offering miraculous cures for various diseases, the origin of these cures was shrouded in mystery. People who went through the treatment seemed to experience significant improvements in their health, but no one really knew how or why that was happening. However, behind this facade of generosity and selflessness, Martin Lee was hiding a much darker identity. He was, in fact, Mr. Negative, the leader of one of the most feared criminal factions in Chinatown. While he ran illegal activities, Lee didn't act like a typical crime boss. He always tried to maintain an image of goodness and respect, even coming across as a kind and helpful man in the eyes of the community. This duality between the philanthropist and the criminal made him a complex figure, with intentions that were often contradictory. Mr. Negative played a key role in the creation of anti-venom. It all started when Eddie Brock, who had been without the symbiote for some time and was battling cancer, was hired by Martin Lee to work on the Feast project. Using his powers, Lee touched Brock, and with that, he was able to completely eradicate the cancer cells from Eddie's body. However, this process had unforeseen consequences. The remnants of the Venom symbiote still in Brock's bloodstream fused with his white blood cells, resulting in Eddie transforming into a new entity. This fusion gave rise to Anti-Venom, a being with unique abilities, functioning as a living antibody capable of cleansing the superpowers of others, effectively disintegrating them. Mr. Negative is often accompanied by a group of loyal henchmen known as the Inner Demons, who wear traditional Chinese opera masks and are completely corrupted, following his every command without question. These henchmen have impressive regenerative abilities, able to heal even the most severe wounds, like impalements, gunshots to the head, and even decapitations, in a matter of seconds. However, there's some suggestion that the inner demons can be defeated under certain conditions. On one occasion, Anti-Venom reveals that he managed to take out a few of them, possibly by asphyxiation, a technique he finds effective against these enemies. Mr. Negative himself, in his pursuit of discipline and absolute loyalty, doesn't hesitate to order the execution of two of his henchmen who failed to follow orders, making it clear that for him, failure is unthinkable and lethal. Mr. Negative refused to submit to the Hood's control while he tried to expand his influence over New York's criminal underworld. In a showdown with White Dragon, one of the Hood's loyal henchmen, Negative managed to corrupt him and use him as a puppet to attack the Hood's base, resulting in White Dragon's death. In response, the Hood swore revenge and planned to take down Mr. Negative. To do so, Hammer, an elite force under the Hood's command, isolated Chinatown, trying to get Spider-Man's attention. Spider-Man soon showed up to try and save Martin Lee, who was under attack. However, Spider-Man himself got corrupted and under Mr. Negative's influence was forced to fight and face the Hood's gang members. The Answer, Lightmaster, Scorcher, Speed Demon, Spot, Squid, and White Rabbit, all sent to kill Betty Brant, who was investigating the real Martin Lie's wife and getting close to the truth. Eventually, the Hood himself faced Mr. Rower, Negative, in a direct battle at the latter's headquarters in Chinatown. During the fight, Negative tried to corrupt the Hood to control him, but his attempt failed, leading to an intensely balanced fight between the two criminals. In Marvel's Spider-Man 2018, Martin Lee plays a central role as a villain throughout much of the story. The game dives deep into his connection with Peter Parker, Aunt May, and the Feast Shelter, exploring these relationships in an emotional and meaningful way. Mr. Negative is presented with a complex psychology, with motivations rooted in a distorted sense of justice, which helped solidify him as a highly relevant character among fans. His portrayal in the game served as an introduction for many players who weren't familiar with him in the comics, and it's possible that this version influenced the decision to bring him to the big screen, further expanding his impact and recognition. Mr. Negative solidifies himself as one of the most fascinating and complex villains in Spider-Man's universe, blending emotional and action-packed elements. His journey from comics to games and possibly to the big screen shows how characters can evolve and captivate new generations of fans. If you enjoyed this, don't miss the video popping up on the final screen. 8 epic moments of the Marvel Comics that shone on screens. Click to check it out and relive those epic moments.